Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Streamed live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I'm joined by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Good morning, Tommy. Man, it's already good to see you. Every time we get together, we get some nuggets, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Still sharp and still, Eric. And we're always growing. I appreciate you always reaching out and allow me to share back how we can continue to build our services to provide a value to our individuals as well as companies. So I'm always blessed to continue to share those nuggets.
Absolutely. Tommy, one of the most brilliant brothers I know, a subject matter expert in this field as I am. One who is passionate, always learning, and always loving on your family and those that you serve, man. And all of those are inspiring to me, Tommy. I am so grateful, man, that you are coaching. You know, I spent a lot of years coaching, bro. Yeah. But I love it, man. I love your passion about it. I love the desire, the interest, the love that you have for the young people, not just your son, but the young people that you've been coaching for a long time, man. I admire you for that and really inspired that you continue to invest in the things that matter.
So I appreciate that, Eric. And this year we have for the baseball team, we have a new challenge. So I've coached this team for about 10 years. Since they were about 4 years old, now they're 14 for the most part. We have a number of them who are 13 years old. And unfortunately, our previous league has folded. And so we've joined another league, and they do not have a 14U conference. They only have a 15U. So we will be playing 15 and 16-year-olds this year.
Okay, you playing up.
And that's so we're coaching up to be more disciplined, right? To work on the little things. It's the little things, right?
Right.
We saw Denzel's movie.
Right.
And, so we're happy. We're happy to do that, man. And I thoroughly enjoy not only coaching as a role model, but Eric, I'm blessed, and Make It Plain is blessed to be able to be a corporate sponsor for the team for the last 8, almost 10 years, right? So this year, we're a corporate sponsor as well. We do have some other additional fundraising that subsidizes some of the expenses. At the end of the day, it's resilience. That's the word for this week, resilience. How do we keep going through adversity? How do we get up and dust ourselves off, Eric? And I am doing the same thing because in this work, there's a lot of falls, a lot of curveballs.
Right. Well, Tommy, I'm glad that you said that you are one of the sponsors. I want to be one of those too. So let's chat after we get off. And yes, sir, you got another sponsor right here, man. Because I know how it is, man, when you're coming out your pocket for everything. You know, that's just. But I believe in that. And I needed that when I was a coach, man. I was coaching AAU and I needed sponsors, man. So I want to join on that train to put my stamp of approval on what you're doing, man. I really do. Let's talk about the week. Tommy, how was your week, man?
So this week was another good week, another challenging week, and an aha week.
Okay.
Very, very quickly. The good week, we were very, very busy. Every single day, we're doing something. We're connecting with clients from across the country. And Zoom has us literally in multiple places, sometimes at the same time. Okay. So I'm having to manage the schedule a little bit here, right? And then also that's good. That's good. And then also we had some missed opportunities, right? We were in the running, we didn't fare. The organization selected another vendor, no problem. We always say that we can work with any organization. So as the winning organization or winning consultant was looking to, strengthen their bench strength, hey, think of Make Plain, right?
Right.
And then Eric, real quick, I was working with one client, and we've been working with the client for about a year. Oh, actually, it was a year. It was March of 2020 that we began to work. And we took too many steps backwards, Eric. And I think we're going to talk about this a little bit today.
Okay, absolutely.
And after the year, we took some steps backwards, and I got a little frustrated.
Yeah,
right?
hey, I get it, man.
It came out of me like, what are we doing? And they were like, hey, the steps were so far back that they wanted to really start from day one because they had new leaders in the organization.
Right.
So I was having to balance the new leadership coming in to say, hey, catch us up from the work that you started a year ago versus the folks who have been along the journey saying, let's start to implement this stuff. And it was a delicate balance. And I, as well as some others, like, okay, let's level set. And where are we? The week and the weeks are starting to blur into each other. So it's been a good week, man. Good week. That's enough about me, Eric. How about you and your week?
Man, I can relate with a lot of that. We are always excited about the wins, but not everything is a win. We get our share of losses as well. And I've begun to tell clients, man, right there in the sales process. Now, others may not support this. My wife might not even support this. But I really encourage them strongly, man, to make sure that they pick the consulting partner that they feel best fits their needs. If that's us, we're excited. We want it to be us. But if it's somebody else, we're pulling for you. And I believe that, Tommy, we're not always a fit for everybody. I've had some nonprofits that came to me and said, we loved everything you said, but we found somebody that has a specific specialization in some nonprofit angles. And we decided to go with them this time, but we're going to keep your information. I love that. I understand it totally, man. And so, those things happen. This week, as I look at it, Ken just alluded to it. I think we're even going to try to share with our audience, maybe before the show ends, my eldest child, Jillian, had the world premiere of her new single and music video, Same God. And Tommy, when I watched it, man, it was nothing but tears, brother. My daughter loves God. She has an anointing of her grandmother and a great grandmother that comes through in her singing. And the young man that she sang with, man, they just did a beautiful job. I think that it's a powerful video for these times because it really is encouraging you that no matter what you're going through, the same God that's always been around is there to help you out right now. So I know I'm going to make that thing go viral myself, Tommy. It's going to go viral all by me watching it, man. I had it up on 3 TV monitors up in here, man. And then text the family like, I'm not going overboard, am I? They were like, yeah. Judy delivered a beautiful webinar, man, to a client. She had been worried about that because she's got so many things going, new job and everything. And she did a great job on designing a webinar on organizations that are looking to diversify their boards, their nonprofit boards. She gave them some strategies, techniques around that. Had my good friend Edgar Smith on there as one of her videos, interviewees about nonprofit boards. Had Carl Satterwhite on there, and they both delivered some powerful messages, man. I was just looking at it saying, whoo, way to go, Judy. That's outstanding. Yeah. And I love encouraging her and love seeing the way that she's blossoming in the work that she's doing. We are in the midst of interviewing new staff right now. I mentioned that to you. Our team is growing. What I know, Tommy, is that there's no way for you and I to continue to grow and to scale our work without other talent being connected to us. And so I'm grateful, man. And I'm finally, it takes a while, number of years to figure this out, that you got to take time looking for people, man. You got to kiss a lot of frogs. And you got to have other people bring other people into the process. What I've discovered, Tommy, is that my love of people, man, sometimes makes me a softie, Tommy. Really, I'm a softie, bro. Everybody like, oh, I love them. No, bro, you can't love everybody. You got to vet them. You got to look at their backgrounds and stuff. You just can't hire everybody out to fast food restaurants when you're driving through. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And so I've made some mistakes over the years, man. And the lessons that I've learned have caused me to look at a number of candidates, to ask for writing samples, to have Judy and my staff interview the candidates, to get references and vet those hard. And I've got a couple of really great candidates, man, that I think we're going to settle on this week. But we're going to continue. We're continuing to advance the ball, man, and I'm excited about that. And the last thing, man, is we're refinancing our house. We're doing some financial work with Ken Wilson, who is outstanding. Anybody that's looking at IRAs, investments, insurance, any of those kind of things, Ken Wilson is one of the best. And I know that he is booking up. I think he's always got room for others, but Ken does a great job. And with all that humor, don't be deceived that he's brilliant. The brother is outstanding. He's quick of mind around those kind of things, and he wants to accomplish your objectives and not simply trying to sell you stuff at all. He really is looking to work out something that fits for you. But we are seeing miracles happen.
Back up just a moment again with Ken, and Ken can add as well. So what is he working with you on? Because I know he has a special set of skills as well.
Right, exactly. Well, he's providing us with IRAs and doing some investment stuff with us. But Ken is just a real good counselor, man, and somebody that's non-threatening. If anybody is thinking, Tommy, if you don't have somebody that you love, I had people that I was working with that I didn't love. Whenever I have people that I work with that I ain't loving, I prefer to work with people that we have relationship. And it's even that much better when they are brilliant at what they do. I've known Ken all my life. He and I are alike in a lot of ways, that sometimes when you have this cutting sense of humor, sometimes people miss your deep intellect. And I've seen Ken both at Procter & Gamble when he was there be brilliant in sales. I saw him when he started his own business and managed the Chick-fil-A. I've watched Ken for a long time. Legacy planning. Ken, also put your information in just in case people want to try to reach out to you. How can they find you?
Yeah.
But one of the best. Kendall Wright, man, love you. Thank you for joining in with us. We always appreciate our community. And Tommy, we don't take that for granted, do we?
No, we do not. No, we do not. I mean, we have the usual suspects, man, the beloved community, but it's every Saturday, Eric, every Saturday. You and I get up here. We love talking with each other. We love talking out into the atmosphere. But we got these folks, man, that are joining us every Saturday from different parts of the country, East Coast, Midwest, Great West, and West Coast, joining us and to contribute. That we do not take this for granted at all. Thank you, community.
Yeah, we don't. And I'll tell you this, we want you to network with each other. So if you have a business, Kendall Wright, put your contact information out there, man. He does consulting as well. We bless all of that. Take a look to make sure that you find the right partners. If you select a Tommy Lewis, Eric Ellis, a Kendall Wright, you can't go wrong. And so, Kendall, make sure you put your information on there. We're going to have him back because he's got a lot to say. But I think that we've got to get to a place where we start supporting each other, networking with one another, because we can make the difference, Tommy. I am tired of us sitting back, waiting on racist, sexist, homophobic systems to solve all these problems that many of them we can solve by networking with each other. We had a great interview last week, didn't we, with Dr. Ariel Ellis. She was phenomenal. and has I think gotten connected with a couple people in our community since that time. We're going to bring her back. But Tommy, we are committed to advancing our knowledge and our connections with one another. Charlie Winburn, so glad that you, treasurer of Hamilton County, so glad that you've joined us again today. We are grateful to have you with us. And I think you've got some information around next week. We want to have you on our show. I think it may happen next week in advance of an event that you've got planned. If you'll put some information around that, we'll make sure that we put that up. Tommy, we have a topic that we are wanting to talk about today. Today, we want to sort of venture into some of the common issues that we hear and see in the work that we do. And Kendall Wright, you can certainly join in and sharing some of these. I'll share just the first couple, Tommy, and then we'll sort of have you and I sort of dialogue about those. We have some clients that say things like, we are really committed to DEI, just try not to offend our executives. So it's the sort of, we are so committed, but we really want to monitor the kind of push that happens toward our executives. We don't want them to feel uncomfortable. Tell me, what's your reaction? Have you heard that before or experienced that? How do you deal with that?
Yes, I have heard it before. I would say, though, that I haven't heard it a lot.
Right.
And the reason why I think I haven't heard it a lot is because many years ago, the adage of DE&I was that it's from top down, bottom up. So again, top down is from that CEO or C-suite, and it was driven down through the organization. However, where I'm hearing folks say, we don't really want to push the CEO, is because of the middle out. There's been some new awakening with regards to discrimination or bias or anything in the middle, especially with advancement of careers and opportunities, that the folks at the top, C-suite, may not always be aligned and or prepared to really deal with the groundswell that's happening from the middle, right? That's what I've been hearing. So when folks say, we've been doing great from a diversity recruiting perspective, at the entry level positions, but I've been in my role for 15 years and I have been able to make senior management roles, right? And as we look at our demographics, we may be looking at 1% whatever or 3% whatever, and the CEOs sometimes are like, don't really rock this boat. We're going well. We have clients we need to serve, and our clients expect us to do certain things. So yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Love to hear your take on that, Eric, because I can get emotional about it too.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So there's a couple things I'd say. It is a bit surprising. I don't hear it that often, but when you hear people say, but don't offend or don't push back on our executives, don't make them uncomfortable. I have a model that's called impact to urgency. The model is a series of circles. And so it starts at the beginning with the C-suite as the biggest circle. In other words, they have the greatest organizational power, but they have the least amount of experience with inequity. And then you move from the C-suite to HR leaders who have a little less power, a little more experience with diversity issues because they're in HR. Then you move down to I&D leaders who have less power than HR executives, but they have more experience with I&D issues because they've chosen to go in that area. And then you go down to diverse employees. Now, I'm not saying that that's mutually exclusive, but diverse employees have the least amount of organizational power, but the greatest amount of experience with inequity. So what you have is the people that have the greatest power have the least experience. The people with the least power have the greatest experience. So oftentimes you have a misalignment around urgency to make change. And so that's part of the problem that we run into. And so when people start asking the question is, what is the right pace to make change within organizations? There's always going to be a bit of a misalignment. What's the right budget? What's the right amount of time to invest in it? If you're not experiencing these issues firsthand, if you don't experience in it, I find that people are generally self-interest oriented, and their priority is around those issues that have the greatest impact on them. And so that's why we have to stay connected with people. We have to be holding listening sessions. We have to be engaging in perspective taking so that we may gain a greater understanding, which may have the effect of driving up our urgency.
Yeah, this is a great point, Eric, because I like what you said around these conversations. And conversations are held in many, many different ways, shapes, and forms. And when an organization or people in the organization may say, we are committed to DE&I. We are committed. It's on our website. We have a kind of a beginning strategic plan around the space. We may even have some employee resource groups or a couple of lunch and learns. Okay, we're committed, right? But again, just don't offend our executives. Mm-hmm. What that is also saying is that, as Peter Drucker often said, that culture eats strategy for lunch. Right. That's very important, because who or what drives the culture? So the strategy says DE&I is the right thing to do. It may be even the business case or business rationale. It may be a solution to some unmet needs, like diversifying our talent pool, taking a look at our spend. But then at the end of the day, the status quo, the drivers of the culture, if you offend them, which is an emotional response, it's not logical.
Right?
If you offend them, then that energy, that emotion will be articulated throughout the organization. C-suite meetings, CFO meetings, operational, functional, all the way down to, hey, you're the custodian. What are you doing? That's from the CEO. Like, I'm the custodian. Right? I have an important role, but we are 3, 5, 10 levels apart from each other. And that's what it is about, making people feel comfortable, which is a loaded ask.
It's a loaded ask, Tommy. And the thing is, in my olden days, the young Eric Ellis would have just went gangster on that and just called out and said, what the hell is it? The seasoned, the wiser Eric Ellis gets the impulse. I'm reminded of the reflex, but I'm able to manage that. But I am beginning to push a little bit around it in this way. Okay. What I tend to do is say, one of the things that you want to do is you want to make sure that you can hear the authentic voice of your people. And you want to really work on not being offended at all by honesty. And so I tell them that that's one of the things that I do, that I see the authentic voice of the people that work here at Integrity as integral to our success. In other words, if I see them even reflex like they're going to hold back, don't hold back. Say what you were going to say, whatever it is, because I need to hear it, Tommy. Because as they begin to express openly and honest, and I like it, man, they come at me with a little edge on it now. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because they're saying, hold up. Like they're asking me about the people that I'm, my assistant said to me, I overheard one of your interviews and you didn't ask about A, B, and C. And those are critical. And so I said, okay, that's a great point. I tried to, that's a great point. And another thing, she came right back at me like, I'm going to make sure you get this. And I'm so grateful, Tommy, for the kind of culture, man, that people can feel free jacking me up. As the CEO, I'm grateful for that. Yes. And so as partners, we don't want to offend anybody. If we see, generally, Tommy, if we see that you're not interested, we go another way, don't we? We generally don't jack that up. We smooth it over. We try to go another way, all that kind of stuff. But for organizations that are genuinely interested in making progress, they have to work on not being offended, because offense is a power move that says that it's the same thing that I take to God when I'm saying, God, help me out, clean me up. And then I'll stand in front of the door where the real goodies are. And God is saying, okay, I see you opening up all them rooms over there, but what about that door that you standing in front of? What about that one? Well, God does. Work on the other stuff, you know? So, you know, that's how it is in organizations, man. You don't want to be standing in front of the doors that block the real areas that need work and the change that needs to happen, man. And if people have to be too delicate with the executives' feelings, then sometimes that delays the progress that they're going to be able to make.
Yeah, you know, these executives, and we know them, they're seasoned. They are there for a reason. And oftentimes we do not know the reason, the how, or the why, right?
Right.
If you're in the organization and not the executive, and we can always project, you know, they're in the family legacy or they did this. We don't always know. I would add this as well, Eric, from my experience in corporate America, that the CEO suite or the C-suite altogether, those are not these days, those are not 25, 35, 40-year terms.
Right. That's right.
No.
You got to turn some, you got to turn some results.
You're running for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You're right. You may go into about the 8-year period, 2 terms. And it's so exhausting at that level that folks say, you know, I'm going to hit it for 8 years. You know, I'll be handsomely compensated. I'll have tremendous responsibility. The DE&I space is just one of those many, many things. And then I'm out, right? And they had been with the company 20 years prior to their 8 or 10-year CEO run, 30-year career. Now they're going to retire with the golden parachute. So I don't always blame them. In fact, I'm not blaming them. But I would just suggest, if you are a CEO or an executive in your organization and you're working in the DE&I space and you find yourself uncomfortable or even offended, it may not be the responsibility of others to make you uncomfortable, because that's a power trip as well. You can sit there, arms closed, looking over your glasses. Now make me comfortable.
Right.
Now go ahead, make me comfortable. Right. That's not it.
Right. And I find that the solutions to many of my problems are in places of discomfort. Now, as a point of information, wise consultants are not looking to offend. That's not the strategy that we're looking to apply. We're not looking to offend anybody. We're not even looking to make them uncomfortable necessarily. The truth may do that on its own, but that's not our objective. And in many ways, Tommy, you and I, we're just like husbands when they sometimes talking when their wife not there. Oh no, my woman don't, you know, she know I don't. Okay, that's good. Then as soon as your wife come around, hey honey. So sometimes consultants can be like that. And neither one of us are like that. But we're not up in there cussing people out, telling them I got business. No. We're very respectful. And Tommy, I know you operate in the same ways. We know that change happens over time. And so you have to work with people as they're trying to navigate through their growth. And so I think that has to come with a high degree of respect. And we are even understanding of their biases because we understand and accept our own. And so those things are necessary to recognize. This is not about beating people up. This is not about making people uncomfortable. But when the gatekeepers, as Kendall said, let's go back to what Kendall said. Kendall says, I've not heard that from executives themselves, but I've heard that from gatekeepers. sometimes they are the people that are blocking. And my experience has also been, Tommy, that sometimes the CEOs and executives want to move further. And I'll tell you, not just diversity and inclusion, but there's a lot of information that they don't get. In other words, that block that right before them is really blocking people out so that they don't hear everything. So that maybe sometimes it makes me look better, or you don't ask me as many questions if you don't get all the information. So there's a lot of complexity that goes around that. Let's go to Wade's question. I don't know if you want to weigh in on that, Tommy. We talked about this a bit, but I've got a perspective. What's yours?
So a couple of things, maybe three things very quickly. When the news or the announcement that President 45's administration was going to cancel diversity training, what the announcement basically said is that organizations that received federal funding will no longer receive federal funding toward diversity, equity, and inclusion training. And there were a number of organizations who were receiving funding who said, we need that funding. We're not going to do the training, but they still received the funding and really redirected that funding to some other training. And sometimes that other training was diversity, equity, and inclusion under a different name. Right. That was a truth.
Right.
Now, the other part was that may have been more of my initial thought, that I had to shift from a personal and a business perspective to say, let me take a look at all my clients who may be in alignment with this administration, right? And that alignment is what this administration, President 45, what this administration says we will do. And if he says no DE&I training, we're not going to do it. I had to really go through my robust list of folks. And then the other thing was, unfortunately, I've been doing this work long enough that there's always ebbs and flows, and that pendulum will go from left to right, back to left. There's always the climb, plateau. In other words, this was a season, and I thought that the season realistically was going to last about 3 or 4 years. I did. From that announcement, I said, I am going to lose business with our clients who are going to be aligned with this decision for 3 or 4 years. And then once he goes away, or the announcement, it didn't last 3 or 4 years. It lasted 6 months. That.
Right.
Eric, there was a number of my clients, a number of them that said, oh my, look at this new announcement. No D&I. Okay, Tommy, we need to move forward with this strategy, diversity, equity, inclusion. I said, right. But what about the announcement? I read it. Anyway, we are really, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. We don't have the jerk responses to everything.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. First of all, for part of our audience, let's have a moment of excitement, internal excitement, that our 45th president is retired, because we don't have that same kind of energy on a daily basis. Some kind of crazy thing that's coming out of Washington that's grabbing the news cycle. He was just like, I guess, TV ratings guy. So he was always trying to, get the, take the headlines. He enjoyed headlines, but I'm glad that he's gone. I'll tell you that, Tommy, because I'm a critical thinker, I didn't just dismiss his thing that he had come out with, executive order. I didn't just dismiss that. I didn't just even call it racist. I think that we always have to be open to, were there things happening that may not have been in the right direction or helpful for organizations? Yes, there was some of that. And when you have people that are out of alignment, that are making everybody white, say I'm a racist and walk like a duck. I mean, that ain't right. So any of that kind of craziness, man. But I think the marketplace generally takes care of that itself. That if you can't do this in ways that are respectful and make sense, you don't really survive. So I think that I happen to have a couple of military contracts during the time. It was interesting. One of, I was working with the Air Force, and they wanted to take a look at my slides to scrutinize them. And I told them, I said, hey, I don't even need slides.
Yeah.
I don't need slides. We don't have to do it with slides. And I told him, I said that in this particular situation, we had done focus group interviews, and the employees had given me permission to videotape those to share with their executives. I said, that's all we need. Let's just share what the people said. Let's just listen to what your people said, and let's talk about that. And it really is all about how do you prepare a fighting force that's unified. In many ways, a lot of the ways that our last president operated was striking up division. He was like a Trojan horse within our nation. He'd come in at night and open up the belly of the horse, and then fighters, all on the same team, would jump out of the bottom, and they would storm the central nervous system of the body of our nation in ways that were harmful to us. Nobody can deny that. And sometimes when the fruit is sweet, in other words, when some of his principles and values line up with what your tribalistic values are, you can't see some of the ways that he's harming us. And I say that not as a partisan, but as an American, as a patriot, one who got ulcers over us being in constant sort of upending one another. That stress has moved out of the way, and I'm grateful for that. Those policies gave me no concern because you and I are trying to do good work, and that continues. So great thought there. Ken said that diversity consultants tend to have world-class EQ. I would broaden that and say that anybody that is successful in any business and any industry, you're going to have this. You cannot be successful. Tommy, you do a lot of work in the area of emotional intelligence. I don't know if you want to weigh in on that.
No, he's spot on. So EQ, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence, for those who are less familiar. Now, there's research that says it is the number one or one of the top skill sets for successful leadership. And why is it a very strong skill set and competency, maybe even an ability? It's because that when driving toward an outcome, which we can never control, we always have these desired outcomes. There are always events, and these events come in, and we can never control the event.
Right.
These events, circumstances, situations, conversations, etc. And we can have the linear game plan. We can have the manual. We can have the textbook or the workbook that someone else has created per their experiences.
Yep.
But every textbook and workbook does not apply to the event at hand. And because that cognitive, that thinking workbook does not apply to the event at hand, our emotions take over. Right. I've never been in this situation. I don't know what to do. I'm fight, flight, or freeze. And next thing you know, we're emotional hijacked. The leader who has that world-class EQ can really differentiate. One, how is this landing in having me respond?
That's good, Tommy.
How is this landing on me and having me respond? And then the other is, all right, now let me connect this to my learned experiences, right? Let me connect that. And as I continue to try to connect something with this new event, and I come up with a blank, the emotionally intelligent, world-class individual will say, I have no experience in this.
Mm.
I'm going to reduce, if not eliminate, my ego and pride, which are
Wow.
two emotions,
Right.
and look at finding someone or something that will bring value to me that I can address this.
Right.
Again, easier said than done. You can talk to folks who are 25 years old and ask them, uh, what is it like raising a 35-year-old daughter? I don't know, because they haven't had that experience yet.
Right. Right.
Right? Now, that person should not go ask other people who don't have children to say, how do you raise your 35-year-old daughter? I mean, you can go to the text,
Right.
but then the person may say, I don't have. You're asking me, how do I raise my 35-year-old daughter? I
Mm-hmm.
don't have one. Let me
Mm-hmm.
connect you with someone that does, right? That emotional intelligence view will really balance someone. It will
Right.
get them out of their own way. And that's what is important. So that you don't have, a lot of people just be flying off at the handle sometimes.
Right.
Right? And we let me just say this to close, Eric. We interject energy in our conversation
Right.
because sometimes in our diversity conversations on Saturdays, it
Right.
has to be entertaining.
That's right. That's right. That's
Right.
right. But you
Because
have to.
the strategy piece is downright boring.
Right. Right.
Right?
That's
It's Gantt charts and numbers and all that good stuff.
right. Right.
That's what we do as strategists.
Right.
But when we're having a conversation, we gotta hype it up.
Right. Right.
That's the
Right.
emotion.
Yeah, you can't scare everybody inside organizations. So emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman's the father. There are sort of four dimensions, if you will, of emotional intelligence. I'll say it in one set of language. Tommy, I add in, and then we'll go on to the next person. But that looks at people that are able to sort of manage themselves, sort of understand themselves, and then manage their own behaviors and emotions, being able to recognize others, and then sort of build effective relationships with others. So that's what people that have high levels of emotional intelligence are able to manage those things themselves, be aware of their emotions, manage their emotions, be aware of the emotions of others, and have the skills to develop meaningful relationships with others. Tommy, there's some other language that you utilize when you talk about this too.
So a part of the emotional intelligence is the add-on of diversity. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
model called emotional intelligence and diversity. And part of that
Yes.
diversity piece is where there may be implicit bias, microaggressions, stereotype threats, and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that diversity piece, if it's not included into EI, emotional
Mm-hmm.
intelligence, then EI can become very kind of academic. And so, from
Right.
an emotional intelligence and diversity perspective, it's basically four buckets. Affirmative introspection.
Mm.
Introspection is looking at oneself. Affirmative is correctly looking at
Right.
oneself, right? Because again, if you're incorrectly looking at oneself, it may be the image or the brand that you want to push out to other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that may not always be what's actually being received or the impact on others. So you can
Right.
say, I'm the best leader and president of my company since the company's known. Then
Right.
you ask all your coworkers and they say, no, he's a tyrant.
Right. That's
He's
right.
a bully or anything like that. And so that's affirmative introspection. Self-governance. Self-governance is understanding the whys behind your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why do you think the way that you do? Why do you speak in the way that you do or communicate? Why do you behave in the way that you do? And much of our behavior is driven by past experiences, which have created schemas, these small movie reels that are started through triggers.
Right.
And triggers do sight, sound, touch, etc. And it starts that movie reel. So I act like this because that's the way I've always dealt with it.
Right.
The third part is intercultural literacy, understanding the whys behind others' behavior.
Hmm.
And to understand that, those whys, you have to understand those cultures and those people.
Right.
So again, Eric, one person does not speak for the entire culture.
Right.
So therefore, if you believe that you want to be interculturally literate, and you go to one person of a different culture and say, tell me about your culture, and they give you their view, I would recommend not saying, oh, I spoke to Eric and I
Right.
asked him, tell me about the African American culture. He told me his experience and I know everything about Blacks. No, that's not the case. The last component is called social architecting. That is building environments at work, at home, in the community, in the world, where everyone benefits. And that's where it gets difficult, Eric. Why? Because people have the audacity to change their minds.
Mm.
That's why it's difficult. That someone can be on board or someone can have been learning something and then experience an event which created a different response, and now they're not on board.
Right.
So the dynamics of human beings is even more difficult than putting folks on Mars, right? You
Right.
keep everyone is not on the same page. Social architecting is the effort and the attempt to ensure that everyone benefits, not necessarily on the same page, but benefits in the way that they want to benefit. Not the way
Right.
that you want them to benefit, but the way that they would like to benefit.
So thank you, Ken Wilson, for the compliment. Ken is also one who has a high degree of emotional intelligence. And I think that to be good at humor, Terry Cooley's this way. You can't be funny, especially today, and not have a high level of emotional intelligence, man, because people are being wiped off the game board of life for making the wrong kind of mistakes around humor. So to survive that, you have to have a high level of emotional intelligence. Dan Joyner said he's been using storytelling in organizational work lately, a very effective tool. We agree with that adult learners learn best through stories. They want you to make that learning practical. They actually even want to be able to get engaged in more dialogues. But when you're teaching, if you want, I was reading a TED Talk. One of the tips in there about how to do a great TED Talk is to provide data through storytelling. In other words, storytelling itself is in fact data.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And this triggered a thought that I had, Eric. And appreciate you, Dan, for bringing this up. I'm preparing for maybe 3 or 4 different events happening in March as well as in April, where I'm facilitating a day-long summit, conference,
Right.
et cetera. And there's as we're planning, we're coming together, the 10 of us, I'm hearing from folks to say, hey, instead of having the panel discussion where there's the question and then the series of answers, and then maybe go back to another questions, a series of answers, go to the audience, kind of the same old, same old. Let's go to storytelling.
Mm.
And I laugh and I smile with confidence and support.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why I laugh and I smile, maybe even internally. As a person of color who has studied African people, African Americans, as well as people in the diaspora.
Yes.
There is a long history and legacy of the guru, the griot, the person who held the historical biography of the community through spoken word or stories.
Right.
That the data was always embedded in storytelling.
It's powerful, Tommy.
So I think it's critical because of the pendulum of what moves forward to people's eyesight. And that is, hey, let's before we had the panel, all that good stuff, let's talk about this. Wait a minute. I heard about this last year. I heard this saying called, it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. Other people are like, what? You
Right.
just heard about that last year, and they may be laughing or smiling inside. When I hear storytelling, I applaud and I'm laughing and I'm smiling inside because I'm like, at last, we are recognized for our culture of storytelling, of inclusion, equity, as well as diversity.
Good morning, Terry Cooley. Dr. Cooley, so glad that you're able to join us. You know the work that Terry has to do to get to us. I mean, everybody's not experiencing the same burden. I mean, he's in California, so he's 3 hours behind us, man. So we start at 9:30. That means 6:30. Terry got to get with it. And I love it. I said, well, Terry, hey, you can always catch us on, replay. We're on Facebook all day long. He said, no, bro, I want to be there live when it's coming out, right when it's coming out. So, brother, I want to thank you. I am so grateful of our closest friendship. Terry's one of my best friends in the entire world and been that way for a long time. And there may have been a couple of small seasons across our life that we may have lost contact. But, man, we talk on a regular basis, man. And I'm so grateful. It's like a gift back to me, Terry's brilliance. And we're even trying to work out how we're going to get Terry back to this area. Tommy, let me weigh in on another one before we go to this world premiere video that Jillian put out. But I want to ask you about this, Tommy. There's another issue that you and I will see sometimes in the work that we do is diverse employees who have become bitter. And some who serve on DEI task forces, and they really are just trying to jack that organization up. And Tommy, I'll tell you that this last month I was one of the 7 African Americans in Cincinnati that was recognized by the chamber. Thank you, as sort of making Black history. And they interviewed me, and one of the things that I said was that as African Americans, we want to put ourselves to a place, we want to prepare ourselves so that we are not dependent upon diversity initiatives or the fairness of our organization. And that's what I really believe, Tommy, that yes, we have to fight against injustice. But the other thing I got to do is prepare myself so I don't have to take it. In other words, if you ain't getting it together, it's going to be your loss. Because I don't have to stay here and to take it. And sometimes we feel trapped in these places, and it's gotten to a place where we become bitter. I don't think that bitterness serves you well. It harms us on the inside. And I just refuse, Tommy, to allow bias to beat me down on a regular basis. And I think that, and so I was called into a situation. I'm working with another consulting firm, and they had a problem with one of their DEI task force was really going in on the organization, just going in on them. And so they asked me, could I help? I said, yeah. I said, I'd like to hold a listening session with them because number one, I felt like some of the things they were raising were legitimate, man. They were just uncomfortable for the organization, but they were legitimate. So I really support that. But the way I started, Tommy, was I asked the group to give account on what have you done since the last time you all met together? What biases have you been working on? And so what happens, Tommy, is when you cause people to have to reflect on themselves, there were a couple of people that said, you know what? That's the first time I've ever thought about that question. In other words, I've never thought about what am I doing to work on me? And I find, Tommy, that as each of us recognizes bias as a human condition, and as we recognize that we have our own work to do, and if we're engaged at all in trying to do that work, this is going to sound hard for some people, but it builds up greater empathy for the dominant culture and their biases.
Mm-hmm. Come on now, Eric. Come on now.
I don't think we can just get a big old fat pair of boxing gloves and feel like we can just start beating everybody else up the whole way without doing some of our own work. And I'll tell you, some of the people that I think miss on this are brothers. I'm going to tell you, brothers, I'm going to put some pressure on us this morning that a lot of times we're real quick on racism. We're not as quick on sexism.
Yep.
To challenge that, to push back on that, to address that, to deal with that. Come on now.
Yep.
And if you're not working on that, I would say the jury is out on the legitimacy of your ability to call for somebody else to work on their stuff. Tommy, what do you think?
So bitterness in organizations or in people that work for organizations is real. And some of that bitterness is coming from the long road to now.
Forgot that part. Absolutely, Tommy.
Yeah, the long road to now.
Right.
And, you know, when you're on that long road to now, you know, that's 15, 20, 30 years. You can jump back into your parents' and grandparents' eras. So you're looking at 100 years to now. In 2020, 2021, we're having a lot of discussions. We have these employee resource groups, DE&I task force. We have different initiatives from top down, bottom up, inside out, outside in, all of these things. And then we have folks that sit back, arms crossed, like, you didn't hear me for the last 10 years every day talking about this.
Right.
And now you claim to be woke.
Right. Right.
Now you claim to want to hear me and have some language around empathy, talking about how are you? How do you feel?
Right.
Are you okay?
Right.
Those are catchphrases at times, Eric, but that's the bitterness from the long road to now. What I suggest.
Come on, preach.
I suggest that first people check themselves, especially, and thank you for saying, come on, preacher, because I'm not a preacher, but I need to call on the Lord here. Here we go. Here we go. So in doing that, our time is not the Lord's time.
That's good, Tommy.
And so whatever the long road to now that's created this bitterness in you, think about those who believe. Think about how patient God has been with us.
That's good. That's what I'm talking about.
And so if God is a loving God who's placed you in your role by giving you a blessing, allowing you free will to work toward that blessing, allowing other people to make the decision to hire you to execute that blessing. We need other people. Do not think about the bitterness, but think about the blessings that we all have. And so whatever that long road is, if not now, when? So we have to think about, yes, I'm not going to be bitter because that's an emotional response.
Right.
I'm going to have some empathy. And I'm just, if I haven't been heard for the last 5, 10, or 15 years, I'm going to say, oh, is it my time to speak? Yes, it is. Good. Here's what my experience has been.
Right.
Don't jump back into, I should have been heard back in 74 when we can. No, it's okay.
Right.
Because God's timing is different than our own.
That's
and
powerful.
What does the next 300, 600 years look like? None of us actually know.
Right.
But our tomorrow is today.
Right.
So don't be bitter.
And the response of bitterness is a weak response, and it's a harmful response. It doesn't just harm you in the organization, it harms you inside of you. Make no mistake. Some of you might be listening to this conversation right now and say, those brothers are awfully highbrow because they're consultants. They work for themselves. But I'll tell you who has the greatest potential for bitterness. It's people who work for themselves. In a world where you're seeing everybody fly by you, get contracts, come back. The next one went forth, got contract, come back. Sometimes you had a contract, you got replaced by somebody that did not have the skill set that you had. They ran back with your contract. And so out of all of that, you have to try not to be bitter. And why? Because bitterness is not a helpful response. It harms me in the face of my client, and it harms me inside of myself. But I get it, man. And so Kendall has said we have to educate on the difference between job security at that place that you're at and employment security, meaning that as you prepare yourself, you'll always have an opportunity to work. That's what I was saying to people, is that you want to prepare yourself so you're not dependent upon the DEI initiative within your company to work. Let them know. My daughter wrote a song. I'm coming to her in just a minute. You got to let them know. And I love that song, man, because it's the song that I raised her to say. You got to let them know. And it's a song to guys, single, queen. I mean, but I'm not a Hooters girl. I mean, she went through a whole bunch of stuff. Man, got so much swag on that song. It sounds like a boss. Right. She letting you know when you come to her, you got to come correct. That's the way her mother and I raised her. I like what Wade has said here. The moral arc of the universe is long, but bends towards justice. That's what MLK said. And then Obama used it as well, and some others have as well. In other words, Tommy, this is summing up what you just said, that God's timing. And that's what I'm experiencing right now. And I'll tell you that it brings tears to my mind when I recognize that God's timing has found an intersection in our lives right now. Yep. And everything that's happening within my family right now is blessed. And this refinancing is not just a beautiful miracle today. It is a beautiful miracle on top of foreclosures in my past. Yeah. Where you literally had just your fingertips, Tommy. That's all that was left on the mountain is your fingertips before you fall all the way down in it. See, I didn't see this day at that time. And so I'm telling people that wherever you are, don't hear Tommy and I as some kind of phony guys, fake guys that show up and all is well. My life ain't never had no problems. Nope. My house has been in foreclosure a couple of times. And I came out of those times and I came to different seasons. And right now, what I'm looking at, I'm grateful to God. And all it's caused us to do, Tommy, is supercharge ourselves, man. Rev up that engine to go harder, faster, further in the name of purpose, trying to make a difference in the world. And the fact, Tommy, that we get to do it together, man, there's some security in that, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
We know we got somebody else in our camp that won't let us die by ourselves. And I'm grateful for that. So what I'm going to do now, Tommy, is I am going to ask Brooke to come forward and share the world premiere video that just premiered yesterday from Capitol Records. They have launched a single for my baby girl, Jillian Ellis, The Same God. And if you're going through anything in your life right now, I want you to hold on to your seat, call up a friend, text a friend, tell them this is a video that they need to see. Brooke? We don't have the sound there, Brooke. That's all right. It's going to be cold when it comes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I think she got it.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm going to make it go viral by myself. Start it at the beginning if you can. It played in rehearsal. We can't hear it still. We don't hear it. Click the playback speed also. That's good. We're getting advice from the community. But Brooke had it going before. Go ahead, Tommy.
And community, thank you for your patience in this. And I wanted to say that because even in today's time, all of us want things perfectly now.
Yeah.
And God, especially if it's the same God and God is first,
Mm.
patience is something that we should appreciate.
Right.
We should learn from. We
Right.
should embrace.
Brooke, we still can't hear it.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'll say this: we'll just keep talking, and you just break in, and we'll tell you when it's playing. But Tommy, I want to talk a little bit about Jillian. Jillian is my oldest. She's my only girl. I got 3 boys after her. Jillian loves God. I say to people that when she was in high school, I used to walk by her room, man, and just feel the anointing of God coming out of there. Not a perfect child, but a godly one who loves God deeply. And I know that that's a part of, what this song represents. Jillian has been on this road for a long time, man. She put out her first album back in 2014, I believe. And so has been at it for a long time, trying to make the right decisions, continuing on with school, getting her MBA, now working for Clorox right now. But her heart's desire is also to bless the Lord with her gifts. And so this video represents that.
We can hear it.
You can turn it up a little bit and go full screen.
I won't be discouraged, even when I'm discouraged. I'll remind my soul of all you've done before. I won't be distracted, even in the distraction. I will trust the one who is greater than the storm. Said I will trust the one who is greater than the storm. I don't need another reason. I don't need more convincing. The same God who made a way is the same God who's here today. Even in my darkest moments, this will be the truth I'm holding. The same God who made a way is the same God who's here today. Oh, I won't be shaken, even when I'm shaking. Having done all I can do, I still stand. And I will worship, yes, I will worship. I will face whatever comes with lifted head. Yeah. I don't need another reason. I don't need more convincing. The same God who made a way is the same God who's here today. Even in my darkest moments, this will be the truth I'm holding. The same God who made a way is the same God who's here today. Oh. If you're not done moving, then I'm not done waiting. If you're not done working, then I'm not done praising. If you're not done moving, then I'm not done waiting. If you're not done working, then I'm not done praising. I believe you're moving, so I'm not done waiting. I believe you're working, so I'm not done praising. Whoa, I don't need another reason.
Well, Tommy, I tell you, yeah, man, I tell you, I can't watch that and not be in tears. I'm just,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise him. Praise him.
I am just so proud of what she's done here. I'm grateful for a life that seeks to honor God. I am. I know her grandmother and her great grandmother would be proud of that. And it's just a beautiful piece, man. And once you've done what God created you to do, the rest is on Him, Tommy. And that's all we want to do, man, is come here and make a little difference in the world around us. And you and I, we get a chance to do work in the space of trying to make the world a better place, man. And that's simply what it's about. And I think the piece that they've put forth is what's needed right now. While people are trying to divide us by race, cross worship is trying to build the nation up and heal those divides, man. And I think we got to throw everything we can at this, Tommy.
Yeah.
And I'm committed to do that until the day that I die, man. And you and I have the blessing of a seed that has taken something from what we've given to them, man, and her mother, what she's poured into her, and then try to elevate that to another level, man. And the enemy can't stop what God has designed for you in your life.
I'm filled with joy and happiness and pride in you, your wife, and your children, and most particularly with Jillian. As I watched the video, I had a lot of emotions. One, the spirit of God, of the Lord in me, and the other was, Eric, I was in a little bit of amazement. And my amazement was, that's a real person.
Right.
Those are real people that I was watching in a video. And so it was a humbling experience that I personally know the physical being that is articulating their talent. And then I thought, everyone that's on television, they're human beings.
That's right.
They are someone's child.
That's right.
Someone's brother or sister, someone's loved one. They are real. And so I don't want that to be lost, that human beings have exceptional talents. And we have to just find the platforms, and in Jillian's case, through arduous years of crafting her talent, positioning herself to be on a record label, to go through the production process of creating the video, and being able to voice her gift of song. And I know that she's humble. I wish her the absolute best to continue to spread the word of the Lord and this work of holistic unity. Congratulations, Eric. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've watched her, Tommy, have to step in and out of opportunities and wonder which is the right door, and having to make decisions that said, even if the contract isn't right, even if the money isn't there, when do I just do what God created me to do and then allow the rest of it to take care of itself? You see, part of inclusion, Tommy, is about being able to get our voices to the world. That's all we're doing. We're asking for an opportunity to share what God has put inside of us so that the world might benefit from that. That's this work that you and I are doing. I was watching Coming to America 2 yesterday, and I was, it's an okay movie, but I tell you, Tommy, I was just grateful, man. I sat up there and I said, look at what Eddie Murphy has done. Because he has the power to make a movie, now he gets to give a whole lot of people work, man. who are sitting on the sidelines. Arsenio's been sitting on the sidelines, man,
Yeah.
just waiting on somebody of color to come into a place of influence so that when you're on the bench, Tommy, and you got your hand up and you're saying, Coach, pick me,
Put me in.
put me in. That's what inclusion is. And when we stop making these decisions simply by race and gender and who's like me, and we start making these decisions because they're the right thing to do, we'll start picking other players, man. They won't all look like us. They won't all sound like us. They won't all come from the same places that we come from. But Tommy, that's the work that God has commissioned you and I to do. And so on our worst days, on our disappointed days, we get a chance to get in the batter's box, man, and take a swing. And if somebody chooses you, I can tell you that I'm cheering for them, man, because they've chosen well. So that's what we want to do in community. We thank you all for continuing to weigh in with us, man. We're a little emotional today because we know that what we've been created to do has purpose and has meaning. And then when you tie into that, I want to say this to you. People don't see enough emotion. They don't understand how deep our love goes.
Yes.
It's not been reported on very much. Nobody says enough about the Black father and mother that love their kids and love their family and love one another. See, that's not newsworthy. See, if we were shooting and killing somebody, that'd be on 6 o'clock news. They'd have that out there. But this, sometimes we miss. But guess what? We don't have to miss it. You and I, with our little platform, Tommy.
Yes.
That's what we do, man. We take this little platform. God gave us a little seed.
Yes.
See what y'all gonna do with it. I'm gonna see what you boys gonna do with this. I'm gonna see if y'all gonna become plastic. I'm gonna see if you're gonna show up and be real, be transparent.
Oh, Jesus.
Be flawed, but be men of God who are trying to grow. And I tell you, when I look over here and see those of you that have chosen to invest your time this Saturday morning and every Saturday morning to join us, man, we are two grateful brothers, man. We're blessed. Tommy, we blessed, ain't we, man? What is this? Huh? Somebody says that this is work.
What?
I don't see it that way, man. This is freedom. This is what freedom looks like. This is what it feels like. This is what the experience is. And we get to take wherever we have some influence, we get to wedge that door open and try to provide a favor for someone else. And every time you all weigh in with a comment, none of them goes unnoticed.
No.
Grateful for all of those.
Eric, this is incredible. This is incredible, man. We have known each other for many, many, many years. We're just talking and trying to help.
That's it.
And trying to learn to help more.
Right.
So
That's
we
it,
lean
Tommy.
on our community to help us. They ask questions. They ask, for crying out loud, Wade Goins, asking, what do we think about something?
Right. Right.
That's getting in the game, Eric. That's all we wanted to do. Put me in the game. Before we used to say, put me in the game, I can shoot the ball in the hoop. And Wade Goins, trust me, that brother
Right.
put the ball in the hoop.
Yeah. We've won some tournaments together.
Oh, man.
We've won some tournaments playing together, me and Wyatt.
Yeah, man. Him and Wyatt, man, those brothers. And we got some other brothers and sisters, et cetera,
Right.
who are playing in their own respective arenas. We just want to be put in the game.
Right.
But I can speak selfishly here, Eric, that I have always wanted to play the game of thinking. And I wanted to be in an environment where I had to think. And this conversation, this diversity conversation, allows me to think. It allows me to share my thoughts, and folks like Wade asking, it allows me to watch a video of a number of people, two in particular, that were singing, and some musicians and dancers and things, and folks that were worshiping, and think to myself, man, that's incredible, because I cannot do that.
Right.
You have a beautiful voice, Eric. You have the gift of musicianship, the gift of penmanship to put together your thoughts in song. And I am always at awe, because when I open my mouth to sing, only I can basically appreciate it. Right. My wife says, go ahead and sing with your heart. I'm like, yeah, but
Hey,
everybody
Tommy,
else.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it too. And
Okay.
when we in the studio, we're going to dress it up.
We dress it up. I'm gonna come to the studio. My singing voice is baritone.
Right.
Really, it is.
Right.
It's very different than my speaking voice.
No,
And
I
my
can hear
speaking
it.
voice, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna get in the studio. And
We're going to do it. We're going to do something. You're going to rap, you're going to sing, or spoken word. Any one of those. You got three options. You get three options. Whatever makes you look the best.
yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Now, let me tell our community this. Timmy Carpenter, I appreciate you, bruh. I had a chance to visit with him and his wife. Wife is doing some amazing things. We're going to have them on the show, because I think that she's got a calling to do something that brings families together, man, around fitness. And so I want to spend some time on that. But I want to say this, Tommy, because this sort of jumped into my mind, that a lot of times in our lives, community, I'm speaking to you right now. A lot of times in our lives, we are looking for that great door opener, that great break, the opportunity that takes us to the world. Now I'm gonna go back to Terry. Terry Cooley said worldwide. Let me go back to where he said worldwide.
Come on.
Terry has said this to me many times. He said, Eric, you all are worldwide. But I want everybody to hear me say this right now. There is nothing that Tommy Lewis and I will ever experience that will overshadow this day and these moments that we have with each of you. See, sometimes, Tommy, I think that people blow it, man.
Yeah.
We're so focused on the future and some big thing that we're going to do that we miss the big things that are happening right now. And so I'm grateful for all of you. And I want to say this to you, that remember each moment, value each moment. Don't ever start looking for the masses and miss the individual. Every one of you here, I know, we know. Hey, we love it. We love it. And if this was just our party, if this is just the dance that we do together, that's worth it. It's good enough. It's what God designed for us at this moment in our lives. And I don't need it to go any further than this for me to say, thank you, God, for what you gave us.
Yes.
Don't miss those moments with your kids, with your families, with each other, with the work that you do, with the clients that you have to serve. Don't look past them. Try to provide them your best. And, if you are, what's the Bible say about over a few things, you have to be a good steward over a few things, your gifts and talents to make you worthy for greater things to come.
Yeah,
Tommy,
Eric,
we're coming to an end. What thoughts do you have?
I'm going to shout out the barbershop, Brother Carpenter, and the brothers in the shop chopping it up.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know who's there,
Right.
and I cannot control who's hearing our voices and reading and listening to the community that's adding some value. But in the shop, I would like you all to continue to chop it up. There are some solutions in the barbershop
Right there.
that need to move beyond the chair, beyond the shop, into the community. And I'm not saying that it's not happening.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm saying that it is the sanctuary that we can really test each other, right? With knowing the difference between the you've gone too far, bruh, or you need to step in here. Now, if you're in the shop and you overhear the debate, the intellectual and cultural forum to move issues and people forward, and you're sitting silently, we're going to ask you to contribute. In my family, we celebrated, as many other families did, we celebrated Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir.
And at Thanksgiving, we had basically two different tables, two different rooms. Now we had the grown-up table. They were in the grown-up room, and they had things like wine and all other types of beverages, adult beverages, and in the meal. And then you had the kids table.
Right.
Right. And at a point, Eric, I had been going to the barbershop. My father was taking me to the shop. I was hearing and understanding adult conversation. But at Thanksgiving, I'm over here with the kids.
Right.
Having a conversation.
Right.
I'm looking over at the grown-up folks, and I was saying, let me talk, let me say something, let me say something, let me talk. And my father one year said, boy, I'm going to have you over at the table.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have you cut the turkey. Because no one cut the turkey except for my father. Right? Because he cut the turkey and he distributed it. So I had a double whammy. I was going to be at the table, in the shop, if you will, and I was going to have a responsibility. And when that responsibility came, just like this show, when Eric Ellis asked me to be on his show and our show, Diversity Conversations, I said, I'm at the table.
That's right, man.
And now I'm looking over at the shop, be it in Cincinnati, folks out in Baltimore, got brothers out in LA, right?
Right.
We're in the shop.
We're in the shop. We're at your table, baby.
We're at the table. We're
Right.
at the table and we're not eating crumbs.
That's right. Filet mignon and
Filet
better.
mignon, Eric. Yeah, we're not eating crumbs, brother.
Right.
We're not eating crumbs. We're not eating crumbs. I got to say that because this is all about proper preparation prevents poor performance. 5 P's. We planned, all of us, not just Eric and I, we planned to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, to be visible. We're no longer the spook at the door. Come on, E.
I like that. So, Kendall, thank you for the scripture. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. And so what I want to say to every one of you is be faithful over the things that you have responsibility for. Because as you do that, it prepares you for greater things. And so wherever this goes, Tommy Lewis and I have had the ride of our lives. And we know that God is saying it is good because each of you are here. The teacher shall appear. Go on now. Go on now. You know he's a preacher too. See,
yes.
All you got to do is give him a text. You know, he'll preach it too, him and his wife. Tommy, it's been great, man. Tell people how they get in touch with you, man. If they want to find you, Tommy Lewis, how they find you?
Absolutely. You can email us at info@mipcllc.com or give us a call directly. Love to chat with you. 513-421-2300. Looking forward to hearing from you.
And you can find me at Eric Ellis, integritydev.com. That's our website. Or you can call us at 513-874-6836. This has been a great diversity conversation. We want you to have you go out to the week, have these wonderful conversations, and join us next week, same time, same broadcast station for another amazing diversity conversation. Take care. Take care of each other. Love you. Power for the people.
Power for the people.